What's up, Dennis? What's up, Kevin? Hey, everybody. Big Chonis here. Happy Wednesday or Thursday, wherever you are in this good green earth. Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Big Chonis. You guys can follow me on Twitter. I am at Big Chonis. These are all my best ideas. I take technical analysis very serious. I'm a crypto trader, a mentor, a chart psychologist, an investor, a photographer, a chef. Please do your own research. I am not a professional financial advisor. That being said, I want to start with this tweet I put out yesterday. And I asked the question, if you were holding alts or plan to hold your positions or add to your positions, ask yourself what the crypto market would look like if Bitcoin went sub 5,000 or lower, or if Ethereum went sub 150 or much lower. How much would your alts bags be worth then? I'm not trying to scare you, and of course not all coins are created equal. But I wanted to ask that question, and I wanted to bring this up because you have to understand that valuation matters. And the price of Bitcoin matters because everything is tied to Bitcoin. Every alt is tied to Bitcoin. So now you have to really understand that if Bitcoin fails to hold where we're at, a little lower, 6,000, we start trailing back into the 5,000 area again, what is the value of your altcoin going to be? Now, we have seen in the past week or so when Bitcoin did have some stability and we saw some movement in some of the altcoins from the BTC pairings, but we saw the USD pairings decline. So we're seeing bullish divergence in the BTC pairings, but the USD, the actual thing that kind of really matters in terms of value, was declining because Bitcoin was declining and losing value. And in this past, couple weeks here, we have dropped from $8,500. We bottomed today still. Our low of today was around 6,150. Okay, we have a little bounce happening here. We have a very small wick. Remember, guys, we have a half hour left in this candle here. So unless we get some crazy bull volume or kind of hold here, if this is kind of where we close, it's a really bearish candle. Okay, now because we have bounced, if we do close here, many times you'll see the next day come back down and retest this bounce area to see if it actually is support. In those circumstances, you can get a great tweezer bottom scenario. So if we close somewhere in this area, tomorrow's candle could potentially start or at some point in the day retest our low of today at 6150, and then if it was able to rise higher, it could put in a really nice tweezer bottom and signal some sort of a change in direction from where we've been, which has been super bearish. Why do we stop here at 6137 ish on Bitfinex? So we have a cluster of price history here for sure. Okay, we also have our lower shoulder here, our first shoulder of our inverse head and shoulders, right? The one that took us up here. Okay, that actually bottomed around 6107. So we actually put in a higher low there. We also put in a higher low from our bottom back here at 6079, which was an area where we actually bounced and kind of went this leg of our major bull run we just had on, a major bull run, or our bullish run we had on here. So we're putting in a higher low, which is good. We're putting in here's our low, here's our higher low, here's our higher low, here's our higher low. So technically speaking, yes, we are putting in higher lows, barely. But we're also putting in much lower lows every time we try and peak out and try and run and try and break this major resistance here. Now, I've drawn this in log scale, and what this is excuse me, this is clearly a channel of resistance. And basically, once Bitcoin broke support here, January 16th, price around $13,000, this kind of signified that this is our top line here because we did a back test and we got very firmly rejected at 12.8. So this was our top basically of this channel of resistance here. All of this cluster here was kind of just the unwinding initial stages of our parabolic move here. Everything really starts kind of in this area here. Let's do this. There we go. So we see where we have resistance, we see where we hit it again, we see where we hit it again, we see where we hit it again, and now we see where we hit it again, otherwise a couple wicks here and there. So we see that this is a very strong resistance that's kept Bitcoin not just under it, but signifies a distinct rejection area and a really steep sell-off. So our last sell-off basically happened in, you could argue, three stages. It was this initial one stage here. We did have a failed rally here, a little double touch here. This is basically our bearish stage two, where we really sunk, had a decent bottom candle here, rallied for a couple days, and then sunk some more. And then this cluster was basically our bottoming area here, which brought us all this. So this kind of happened in three real distinct stages, kind of call it three and like a little A area here. So this could be just part one of this deflation. And what I mean by that is how the ETF news really affected the price of Bitcoin here. This is a substantial, not just a rejection, but a rejection with purpose, if you will. Really push the price down here. So where are we going? Where have we found support here? So in this channel here, we can see how our center line has basically issued areas of resistance, support, test, support, hold, break down, break through, right? Hold the first time, because where we touch it on the first attempt. We're going to find support there. Resistance, and then the big breakout was actually really important. So right now we actually have found support more or less at our center channel resistance, now support line, right around 61.50. So this is promising, because this is our first time that we're retesting this area right here, which we had a failed breakout, and then we just shot right through it. But because it kept this price down, kept more or less this price up, and was clearly tested here on an initial touch, but then broken, but then bounced, then it fell through. We could be seeing a similar scenario where we break through it, have a decent bounce, come back up, but fail to put anything close to a high or low in. Maybe we end up topping off on any kind of a bounce here, maybe somewhere around here, 68, kind of retest the back of our neckline here. But there's so much now that's going to prevent us from doing that. And here's why. Here are all our EMAs, right? Here are our MAs. Okay, these are like lines, these are like trenches of deflection. And because this bearish move just happened here, we're getting all these bear crosses playing out, just putting continued bearishness and bearish pressure into the price of Bitcoin here. So we found support here. We get all this resistance really above us, okay? If we fail to hold, then really we have kind of two areas here we could consider our next areas of support. So one is really this line here, this kind of brown line here, which was tested as resistance, broke through, back test, held, the end of our parabolic move. We actually broke through here, okay, on this wick, but just the wick. We closed above for 2 days in a row. That definitely makes this line interesting. We hit our wicks here on it, and we hit our wicks here on it. So this is strong support on this downtrend, because we basically held close above it every time, even though we can still break through it on a daily wick. This is the daily chart. So we can retest this, which could put the price, depending upon how much sideways action we get, of our support of our middle channel, right? Or any kind of bounce in which the middle channel fails to hold, okay? Something like this. Where we're actually able to break through our middle channel with a failed rally, and then basically get down here. And this could be anywhere from the low 55,000s, 54, 53, or if this fails to hold, then I would actually look for something like our lower part of our channel here. Now our channel, it's a little subjective. I'm basically using a couple areas that I feel this works on. I'm basically feeling comfortable that this is a strong resistance. We only actually touched our bottom channel there because it's parallel. We only touched it once, but a really bad bear break could bring that in play, and that could potentially put the price anywhere between 47 to $4,200 in Bitcoin. That's kind of that lower area that hasn't been tested. But until that happens, we definitely have support here if we fail to have any kind of a bounce here. Now, if we bounce here, again, other scenario is just really this. Oops. And then a rejection at 68, right? A little retest there, and then something like that. Okay, we have so much resistance above us right now. We have a bearish ETF news that pretty much took this wind out of our sails. There's a lot of stuff in September. Maybe there's stuff later on, October, November, December. Things like Goldman Sachs being able to trade Bitcoin on a Goldman Sachs account. You know, Fidelity being able to trade Bitcoin on a Fidelity account. You know, these will be things that will be majorly important to basically spreading Bitcoin to the masses. And that's important. That's important because you want this exposure to Bitcoin. You want more people to know and understand Bitcoin and to be able to invest in it and put their money in it. And if they have their Bitcoin ready to go, or if they have, their TD Ameritrade account or Schwab account, with their liquid assets in it, and they want to buy some Bitcoin, and they have that option to do that on that account, that would be huge. And a lot of those banks have issued that potential option for later on in the year. So we have 20 minutes to go before the daily close. Let's look at the RSI. Okay, so this is our daily RSI here. Here's our 30 area right here. We actually did get very close to it earlier in the day before we had a little bounce. We were on 30.5. Again, this is historic areas of support here, okay? We did break it here. We got as low as 27. Here we got as low as 26, okay? So there always is some sort of initial support around 30. And then if the bottom really wants to fall out, we know how low it can go. And we know how lower it could potentially go as well. So right now I am looking for some support above 30 and how important this is for the market to hold this area here. But if we break, there's precedent to show that we can go lower in this area. And I mean, listen, this has been a big, let's just say FU finger here in the RSI that we can clearly see, right? So this has just been very, very brutal. But yeah, so support here. If it breaks, we can definitely be putting in lower lows in our uncharted territory of our RSI. Now, historically, how low have we really been? Yikes, 16. Okay, you got to keep these numbers in the back of your head because they could play importance. So historically on the daily chart, looks like 16, a couple 17s, a 20 here and there. Okay, that's super low history there. Okay, yes, Bitcoin daily RSI can definitely get into those regions if we really break bearish. Now we are getting into an area of support. I want this to hold, but you want to talk about bearishness. I mean, look at this stochastics here. I won't take you all the way back to the beginning, but there's nothing in the recent history that shows any kind of a pancaking of our two stochastics lines. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is so bearish. We have been down here on both lines since August 4th. 4 days of just dead stick on our daily stochastics. Remember, the higher the time frame, the more meaningful the actual move is. On our 12-hour, we're also bottomed out still. This was our little attempt here, but that kind of failed out. On our 6-hour, still just bottomed out once again, trying to cross bullish maybe a little bit there, but currently being rejected. It goes low as the 4-hour here. 4-hour bottomed out, okay? So we're just bottomed out on the stochastics to the daily. Let's go to the 2-day. 2-day, we have actually room to fall here, okay? So we go to the daily. We think the daily is a great primer of like where we're actually at. But shoot, this could go a lot lower because our 2-day still has room to fall before it corrects, or at least gets down to over. So remember, it's been down here before. Go to our 3-day. Okay, you see, room to fall. Remember, it's been down here before. The blue line has been at 0. It's at 29. The red line's been at 7. It's at 52. Let's go to our weekly. And this is our scariest one here. Because, get rid of this guy. We had our bear break here. This was in May, okay? We had our bull break the end of June. And look what happened when we broke bullish. We had a bull crossover, okay? Crap, we're breaking bearish once again on our weekly, and we know what happened the last time. That exactly same thing happened there. So we know this, okay? We know this. Now the week isn't over yet, okay? We're only on Wednesday. We have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have 4 days to make this crossover less of a crossover. It can potentially even pull it a little higher, okay? But if this crosses, only got another week after confirmation, you know, we see what happens, where we could go, and where this could potentially take us. Our weekly MACD, very bearish. We all right. So we're bearish here. We did have a little bull crossover, but look at that. We're just barely hanging on right now. Super close. So if this week closes bearish, this can cross bearish again, and then you get 6 more weeks of winter, right? Just like the groundhog says. If we hold this, we can skip off and continue a little bit of bullishness. But again, we got to keep holding these higher lows, in the price of Bitcoin here. Okay? Higher than 6,000, higher than 5,700. If we break 57.55, which was our previous low on June 18th, on the weekly, okay, if we break that, all uncharted territory. Now the weekly here, what's our blue line here? MA 100, right at 5,000. We have our 200 MA down here at 2,600 and rising still. So we have supports lower that we can continue to watch and see what's going on here in terms of potential supports. As we bear cross, what's this bear cross? We have a 30 crossing the 50. So we get the 30 crossing the 50. Lower time frame MA crossing down into a higher time frame MA. That's bear cross. We have another one just happening right here where looks like our 12 and 26 are crossing. No, that looks like our 12 and 55. Ooh, I don't like that either. 12.55 cross EMA. That's also bearish, putting continued downward pressure. Let's go to the daily and let's see what our EMAs are doing. Still all bearish here. What's our nearest resistance EMA? Sorry, MA. The 50 is up at 6,900. These will fall through the week, if we kind of stay around the low 6,000s. And they will act as resistance, and they'll act as lower resistance day by day. Let's look at our Bollingers. All right, now I always talk about moves outside of the standard deviation, okay? On a daily chart, to be outside the Bollinger, like the price is right here, that's definitely notable. The caveat to that is that we're not that wide yet. We are wide here, okay? And we're definitely wide compared to this area here, which clearly contained. We do see here when we actually did break through, okay, for one candle, and then we came back up pretty quickly, right? So there is precedent for a break of our lower BB to be snapped, bring the price basically, just snap it right back, okay? There's precedent for that. But then we do this little kind of run here, then we fail through. But again, the lower BB, look at that, support. Okay, you guys have to use the Bollingers in your TA because look how just dead on they are for support here. Once we broke our middle BB here, which was our yellow line right here, okay, that was bad because we basically were wanting to hold that as support. We had one daily candle, this one here, August 1st, where we held it, had a little failed bounce, right? Fell through it the next day, and then it was goners. Okay, so now it's also resistance, 7,500, and falling as the price falls as well. Here we broke through it. Remember, one day, right? We one day through it. Next day we closed outside, right? We're about to close outside. You see how wide they were here. We're wide, but we're not super wide yet, okay? So even though we're outside, We could go one more day, as I said earlier in the show, to retest our low here of 6150, maybe break it, okay? But I want to have a chance for a tweezer bottom tomorrow, which starts in 12 minutes from now, okay? Let's put that scenario in play. Let's see if we can retest and confirm 6150 as a support right now. We break lower, and I mean, if we break 6K tomorrow, this is not a tweezer bottom. This is definitely either a V bottom setup or potentially more days to follow. Let's clean up our chart just a little bit. And let's talk some TD sequential. How's that sound, guys? Boom. Look at that. We're on a perfected 9 here. We're about to close down. Remember, we did the same exact thing, right? On the way up. Top of the charts, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Higher than 4 candles back, right? Beautiful. We had our 2 to 3 days here of kind of consolidation where we figure out what's our move next. Are we going to do another 9? Okay, or at least 4 more up? No, we started at 1, 2, green, right? Because we're above the 4th day back. Then as soon as we put in our red 1, it was all downhill from there. We are on a 9. We are on a 9, people. Okay, we are 10 minutes to closing out this 9. Now, even with this 9, like this one here, we still had a couple days where we're basically in the same area. We have a little rally. We pull back a decent amount, but we actually were able to hold. Here was a lower high. Here it could be a higher low, right? And then we actually have a nice little run, okay? So even though we're on a 9 here on the daily, this could be a 1 to 4 candle consolidation pause out where we do one of two things. That 4 candles could be a little rally up, fail break, and then we go down, and we could start another 9 cycle. This is a possibility, no doubt. Combined with where our RSI is, that could bring our RSI back up a little bit, potentially retesting resistance areas here and here on 40. A firm rejection, and we could plummet right through a 30 like it was a hot knife through butter. Because this is holding another test, I don't expect it to hold again. So that's a scenario for a little bounce in the next 3 to 4 days, but still holding in the sixes, right? I mean, God, like, if you don't like Bitcoin now at 6250, then you what? You kind of wait to buy it at 6500 on some kind of a bounce. This is a bad candle. This is not a big wick. We can see our volume is very red, very high, and a little wick. So most of this was sell. Some of this was buy. Some people have been scooping up in this area based on these price areas of history, right? Little taste right here, okay? But this is the ball game for the rest of the month, because unless we are able to hold above 6K, you know, if you see a 59.99 in the price of Bitcoin, a 49.99 is definitely on the tables if we see a 59.99. And the week has Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so we have 4 more days left, and basically in the week to kind of play this out. That's a very good possibility there. I want to talk about one more thing here. And I want to talk about our longs and our shorts, because we've been trying to find a correlation between where the money's flowing. And this has been a very important chart. Where are we here? BTC shorts. And look at this day here. This is a great day for BTC shorts here. We have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we're on a red 4 on our Bitcoin shorts. Even though this has been an incredibly bullish move, like incredibly bullish move, from I guess a percentage standpoint. Okay, what I'm actually looking for is resistance areas from the past. Oh yes, and this is what I mean by that. So this was our bull. This was our very long handle. It's more like a bedpan, like one of those heaters in the old-timey days. And then we have this spike up here, okay? If I saw the shorts get to this level, which was our top off of our cup here, okay? And where we actually were rejected firmly with this shooting star candle we had here on this particular day in the shorts, okay? So if we got up here, I would see this as a rejection area and a bullish sign for Bitcoin, where if the shorts hit here, they would not load anymore, and that could be a sign for Bitcoin to get some pumping into it and potentially create some sort of a short squeeze little bit, which could add additional volume, money flow, and momentum, and would basically exacerbate any kind of a bounce Bitcoin could have. So we're not there yet, though. You know, I want to see us go up to here. We're at 26,000 contracts. I want to see what the price action is around 29, let's say, somewhere in this area. If we break through it, I'd be looking for that candle to close with something similar to this, a shooting star. Doesn't mean we can't go higher eventually, but I'm looking for this as a rejection area, which would be at least a temporarily potentially bullish sign for Bitcoin if this candle gets to this area on the Bitcoin shorts. Now our longs have dropped off a decent amount, but they've actually added through the day here on their contracts. We have a lower, longer wick on our daily than our body candle is, okay? So even though this is red and long, it actually was bought up through the day. So there's a little more bullishness in people scooping up at these levels, and you're clearly seeing that they're holding at this point for some sort of a change because of how bearish the market is, and a lot of the indicators how they're showing there. How much lower can it go? Right. All right, daily close in 5 minutes. I will stay on for 5 more minutes. I will hold your hand, guys, through this daily close. We'll see how the day opens. Okay. And then we'll kind of sign off from there. Let's kind of do a quick scan here in the chat. I've been rambling. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Let's see what we got here. I'm not sure if I'm having any lagging problems. I do apologize. Time for a new computer, right? All right, so who do we got here? We got David, Dennis, Kevin, Crypto East, Tony, what's up? Sander, Matt, NH, New Hampshire, maybe. Oscar, Alvaro, what's up? Scott, Ty, Britain F1, Steph Crypto, Noheem, Andre, Sony, hello. ITCC for fun, yo, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining me here. We're going to watch the daily close of Bitcoin, okay, into the sunset. What else can we talk about here? Let's see what other graphs I have. Let's do some fibbing, all right? So listen, we have been watching to see. Hide my volume here. Where Fibonacci, that a word? We were going to find support. Now, if you use our bottom as our wave here beginning, and this is obviously our top off, then we actually retraced almost 100%, but not quite. So this is not a failure yet. This is not a failure yet. Close below 60.68. Really a wick below, but I'll be deferential. A close below 60.68, and then this is a failed potential impulse wave higher, yada yada yada. But we're putting in a higher low, or at least we're putting in a higher low than where we bottomed here, again from where we bottomed here, again from where we bottomed here. Once this fails, okay, we have 4 higher lows in a row, spaced out with a decent amount of time for the notability. The first break of that is 60.68. The next break of that would be 57.80, and the final break would be like basically the same price, 57.70 or something. Okay, so basically, if we get down to 57.80, we're getting down to 57.70. You know what I'm saying? Is this a 5-wave down structure? Is this 4? And this was 5? possible. Let's do it again. Is this all three? Are we going to do some sort of a 4? Maybe back up to the 78%? 59, sorry, 69, 65.90. And then a lower low to retest our 57 range again. It's possible. So these are bearish possibilities. One, that we have completed our 5-wave down structure of this move here, and we're going to do some sort of a small ABC correction before potentially going down again, right? Or this is actually a larger down 5-wave structure where we'll actually have somewhat of a decent bounce, a couple $100 more from where we are now to our 4-wave. Remember, our 2 was not that long or not that big. So our 4 actually could be one of two things. It could be really quick like this, which would be a lot smaller than this, which could work. Or it'd have to be a lot larger, something like that. And 5 would be something over here, just because of how big we know wave 2 is there. That's a possible scenario as well, but that would take us really into September until we actually bottom out. Something quicker would be something with a smaller ratio of 4. And then 5 would be smaller than 3, I would assume. I wouldn't assume it'd be extended because 3, this is pretty extended. But something around, I don't know. I mean, is this our 5K test? It is possible. All right, guys, 8 o'clock. Let's clear the board. Daily candles in. We basically close kind of where we thought, right here. We're kind of see if we can see any volatility. Let's go to our 1-minute chart. All right, tick by tick. Back to auto. This is our first minute right here. Nice and red. That's great. Thanks a lot, Bitcoin. Into our daily, okay? So we're going to see if we can keep this equilibrium. So right now our low is 62.57. Okay, so that's our point there. We want to keep putting in higher lows and confirm somewhat of some kind of a bounce, you know, in this area here. Come on, we got no volume here, right? Let's check out a volume. Yeah, our volume is just, where are you here? There we are. Yeah, all right. So the day is turned over. Sometimes you look for some sort of interesting movement at the end of the candle. Okay, not there yet. A lot of our big moves are very sporadic. You know, we used to clock them, and at least on the East Coast, 7 in the morning, 9 in the morning, maybe before the stock market opened. Now they're just very random. Okay, so a short-term break of our 62.57, and we're going to retest our 62.28. And if that fails to hold, then we're going back to our 61s. So there's no change in our daily candle. We had definitely a little bit of a dump towards the end of the day there. Seems like that was the last 5 minutes. Yeah, right here. But we're putting in a higher low. Okay. Let's give a benefit of the doubt fib. We've retraced about 61.8%. Okay, so this is wave is still in play. Okay. We want to break 63.50. Okay, we don't want to double top. We want to break through here, and pretty much with conviction. And you see how quickly we fell here in these two 5-minute candles. A break of 63.60, and we're up to 64.70 pretty quickly. We're up here very quickly. We'll just burn right through this, I feel. If we can break with conviction 63.60, that's our resistance there. All right, so guys, this is it. Be safe out there. Remember, Bitcoin can fall a lot more. Any bounce we get, okay, we're looking to see the extent where it's sold off into. This continues to be a news-driven market. Bitcoin is back to crypto in general, 222 billion market cap. Bitcoin down to 109. Look for a retest of 100 billion. We've held it. A retest and a break would be significant. Okay, our volume's there, but there's a lot of supply out there right now. A lot of coin being dumped on the market. 5 billion, 4 billion. almost 4 billion. Okay, remember Bitcoin only 21 million will ever be made. We only have 17 million currently mined. Okay, it'll take a very long time to mine the rest. This is finite. That's where the value is. That's where the value will be. Think about a market where this 6,300 is actually 5,300. Okay, and think about what your altcoins, if you're holding them currently, will be worth then, even if they're bullishly diverging from Bitcoin. Okay, the price of Bitcoin is everything. The dollar volume, the dollar price of Bitcoin is what it's all about. And I hope you guys take these words and just be safe, because you don't have to win it all in one trade. And this is not an environment where we can continue to feel bullish, because we're in a bearish downtrend overall. And any big moves in the market are going to continue to be sold off. With that, thank you guys for joining me. If you guys appreciated our time together, I'd love a thumbs up. I'd love a follow. Love a shout out on Twitter. I much appreciate it, guys. I'm also want to reiterate, I'm scheduling tutoring for next week, August 13th. This week has been great. Had some great sessions with some new friends of mine. And I look to add to my roster of students to mentor. I feel I can be of value to some of you, and our one-on-ones could be beneficial to your experience currently in crypto, short-term, mid-term, and long-term. So until then, guys, I'll talk to you soon. I'll keep you updated as best as I can. I'm very busy right now with all these trainings here, so I'll try and keep up the Twitter and the videos as well. Thank you for joining me. I love you all. Be safe. Talk to you soon.